Good morning, guys. Good afternoon. This is Mr. Amaya. Another Monday, ready to talk to you guys through our YouTube videos so we can continue our science learning. So, let's go ahead and talk about what these 2 weeks are going to look like. If you guys were not aware, these are the last 2 weeks of school. This week, and then one more week, and after that, you're done with schoolwork and we're done with the school year, which is crazy. Things have gone by very weirdly this last end of the school year, and yeah, it's really rough. All right, so with this in mind, let's go ahead and let's begin. So this week we are going to be talking about animal species. As a matter of fact, this whole week we're going to do a animal species investigation about a very important animal species here in the United States. But before we do that, we need to review everything that we've covered on interconnectivity and food chains and animals and how the balance is necessary. All right. Now, after this week, when we do our study, the week after that, we're going to do a viral study on the coronavirus. So, for that reason, well, let's first mention that it is a Monday. It's a rough Monday. I woke up a little late today because yesterday we had a little celebration for Mother's Day, and so I went to sleep pretty late. And uh, yeah, I'm super tired. So my apologies about that and about the fact that this video is so late. But anyway, let's get started. So your due now is this for today and tomorrow. If you have any questions about the coronavirus, please ask me through the comment section of these YouTube videos. And what's going to happen is I'm going to try to answer all these questions next week when we do the coronavirus lesson, because we're going to do a whole lesson that's going to take a week about the coronavirus. And any question that you guys may have, I would appreciate if you ask so I can try to solve it myself. The reason for it is because there are a lot, like a lot of false information reports out there. And it's really scary, but a lot of people are coming up with some very crazy theories. Very crazy theories. And I don't want you guys to fall for those crazy theories. I've been doing some investigations myself, and I've researched through medical institutions what has been going on with this whole ordeal, and I want to present that information to you so you don't believe everything that's out there. Yesterday I was talking to some family members who were thinking that the coronavirus was like the first step in the zombie apocalypse, and that's not true. That's not gonna happen. That's a little ridiculous, but they do believe that kind of stuff because there's a lot of news information that give you wrong information because they want you to watch. So, this whole thing we're going to talk about next week. But if you have any questions, please send them to me. Okay? All right. So, let's go ahead and begin by reviewing ecosystems. Today we will review them, and tomorrow we'll start our investigation on a very important species that is not going to come out in this presentation today. Okay? So, let's begin by reviewing ecosystems. So remember, ecosystems are composed of a balance between multiple organisms and non-living components. An ecosystem includes organisms like birds, plants, bacteria, and non-living components like water, rocks, dirt, any of that. Ecosystems also have trees, which are living organisms, grasses, and bacteria in the water, and it's all a very delicate balance. So let's first remember what organisms were. If you don't remember, organisms are living things. Now we have three categories of organisms: animals, which includes us, and insects; plants, which includes trees, grasses, flowers, fruits, and vegetables; and bacteria, which are everywhere, as we've come to learn in the last couple of weeks. So these are our three types of organisms, and they are all alive one way or another, and they all need different things. In order to thrive is to live a happy life. Animal organisms need food, water, shelter, a place to call a home, and oxygen. Plants need water, sunlight, and carbon dioxide. They use the water, the sunlight, and the carbon dioxide to produce their own food. And bacteria need water, nutrients, and environmental conditions. Now, this is different for a lot of types of bacteria. Some bacteria like to be out in the sun. Some bacteria rather have a moist place that's dark, kind of like the inside of our mouths. Some bacteria like to be underwater. Some bacteria like to be outside in the air. So the environmental conditions are different for every bacteria. Okay. And in winter, we do have less food for animals. We have less hours of sunlight for plants. We have lower temperatures, so organisms react to it accordingly. Some bears or other organisms, they go to sleep for all of the winter. They eat a lot of food, they store it, and then they go to sleep for 2 to 3 months so they can conserve all that energy. Plants, they lose all their leaves. They go to sleep as well. They hibernate so that they don't need as much sunlight and as much water as they would in the spring and in the summer. So, this is a response to be able to survive in these colder temperatures. It's all a balance for the circle of life, um, which is a balance between producers, consumers, and decomposers. Starting with producers, which are grasses and plants and um, trees, and fruits and vegetables, their energy gets transferred from producers to primary consumers, to secondary consumers, to tertiary consumers, back to decomposers, and then decomposers bring it all back to the producers. And it is a circle, a balance of life. So let's go over each component. First of all, producers. They produce their own food through photosynthesis. They get sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide and make their own food. They don't have to hunt, they don't have to look for food. As long as there's water there, as long as there's sunlight there, and as long as there's carbon dioxide, which there always is, they can make their own food. Now, they are the first step in the food chain, and plants are producers. All plants are producers. Even the Venus flytrap, who can also eat insects, that one is also a producer because it also uses photosynthesis to make its own food. It also eats other plants, but it's still kind of a producer. Consumers are organisms that are animals, and they obtain their food from eating either producers, kind of like the grasshopper eats grass, the elephant eats plants, the mice eats plants, or from eating other consumers, kind of like this owl is probably going to eat this mice. This lion, these wolf are probably going to eat some deer. This snake is probably going to eat the mice or the grasshopper. None of these can eat the elephant, though. The elephant's too big. But animals are consumers. They don't make their own food. They consume from either consumers or from other producers, or from producers or other consumers. And finally, we have decomposers. Decomposers break down dead organisms. And they get all these dead organisms and then they put them back in the ground, all the nutrients, once they die. So, uh, these are a list of decomposers. Some insects like cockroaches, flies, and worms are decomposers. They eat everything that's dead and they decompose it. Um, Fungi are plants that are decomposers. They grow out of dead plants or dead animals and they are decomposing those dead materials to put them back on the ground. And bacteria, kind of like that we see here, we see a better exemplified in fruits. When fruits start to go bad, when they start to decompose, that's because there's a lot of bacteria here that it's eating that fruit. We cannot see the bacteria because it's so tiny, but we can definitely see what the bacteria is doing to the fruit. Okay, these are all decomposers. All right, to continue our learning, we're going to watch a very short video, 30 minutes, about the food chain and how it continues working. So go ahead and press pause on the video, watch the other video, and then come back to me. All right, press pause now. All right, thank you for coming back to me. So the video and what we've learned so much brings us back to the idea of interdependency. Interdependency means that all components of an ecosystem are dependent on each other to maintain a healthy ecosystem. Not one animal can stay alive without other animals, without other plants, without decomposers. They all have to balance each other out. For example, bees need flowers in order to drink their nectar. But also, flowers need the bees because the bees pollinate other flowers so that they can reproduce and we can have more flowers. Now, all these flowers end up, well, a lot of them end up turning into fruit and vegetables and so on and so forth. Others don't, but they still are needed so that other animals can eat, kind of like the cow, right? So cows eat a bunch of animals. I'm sorry, not a bunch of animals, a bunch of plants. Um, but then the cow is dependent on this bird, and this bird is dependent on this cow, right? This bird is chilling on top of the cow, but it's eating all the little ticks on the back of the cow, right? Like the cow doesn't have arms that it can scratch its back with, so this bird does it for it. I'm sure the cow gets itchy with the ticks, so that's why the cow allows the bird to just stand on it because the bird is eating the ticks. The cow must be happy for it. And the bird is happy with the cow because for the bird, that is a source of energy. Also, over here, this tree is dependent on these squirrels. These squirrels are dependent on the tree. The squirrels need the tree as a shelter, right? And without the squirrels, the tree may also be consumed by a lot of insects, but the squirrels keep those away. So there's the idea of interdependency within here. Let's look at one example very closely, which is going to be the example of bees. Now, we know that bees are great because bees give us honey, right? And honey is good. I mean, some people don't like honey. It is what it is. But bees give us honey. But also, bees are such great pollinators that they are also responsible for all of these things. Without bees, we wouldn't have pears, we wouldn't have watermelons, we wouldn't have apples, we wouldn't have avocados, we wouldn't have chocolate, we wouldn't have um, pistachios, cashews, peanuts, almonds, pecans, none of those things because bees are such good pollinators. They go around the entire world pollinating different plants. And if the bees don't pollinate those plants never reproduce and never give off fruit. So bees are very, very important for that reason. Because if we didn't have bees, I mean, where would we eat all those things from? Where would we get them? Also, where would the animals get them? Animals need that food to eat. If there's not enough food, there won't be enough animals. If there's not enough animals, there won't be enough humans, enough food for humans. So it's all a very, very careful balance. The bees are significantly important to continue our food supply. Without the bees, we would lose a lot of the foods that we eat. And even though you may say, like, oh, I don't like any fruits and vegetables, I just like meat. Fine. But the bees also pollinate a lot of the grasses that cows eat, a lot of the grain that cows eat. Without bees, there won't be food for cows. Without food for cows, cows are going to die. Without cows, you're not going to be able to enjoy your McDonald's burger or whatever. And it affects every living ecosystem in this planet. So, with this in mind, this is what I need you to do today. You're going to answer the following 4 questions in a paper, and you're going to take a picture of that paper and send it out to me. Number 1, what are organisms? Number 2, what does an animal organism need to thrive? Number 3, which type of organisms produce their own food? Number 4, why are bees important? All of these answers, we just covered them on this video. So if you don't know the answer right away, watch the video again until you find the answer. Does that make sense? All right, guys, thank you for being here. Tomorrow, we will study a very interesting species that is very important. It's not any species that we covered yet, but it's something that we do need to be aware of, like, right away. All right? So, thank you for your time, and have a great rest of your Monday.